evening, everyone. Good evening to you all. Welcome to Love 101 FM. And if you're on Facebook, welcome to you. If you're on YouTube, welcome to you. This is Family Time. And Family Time is about your issues and your relationships. It's about your home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. So stay with us and please connect with us via all our platforms. You can friend us on Facebook at FLM-Family Life Ministries. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries-FLMJA, and you can also connect to us on Instagram, and you can keep up with what's happening at Family Life Ministries there. Now, I want to make a point this evening. While Family Time is a family program, we'd like to caution you that it may, on one or two occasions, touch on what some may consider mature subject matter. So, we implore you to use discretion and ensure that you manage what happens in your particular space, okay? My name is Roland Gale, and tonight I want to ask you, if you have ever had an argument with your spouse and then decide you're not talking to them, well, don't worry, I don't think you're alone. It happens to many married couples, and the trick is to know what to do and what to say to get back into the arms of the person that you love and the person who loves you. And we're not talking about no Isla love me again or no magic wand or no crazy behavior, not that. The truth is you may have to work at it, you may have to make some sacrifices, but being vexed no more will be worth the effort with better communication strategies. We're going to discuss this some more in the next hour as we look at our topic for today, and I want you to hear this topic. It's unvexed, making up with your spouse. Let me say that again, unvexed. Anybody ever unvexed yet? You vex, and then you unvexed. Do you keep malice for days or weeks on end? Who's supposed to be the first to make up? Why? Why is that the person who's supposed to make up first? We'll get to that, right? But first, I want to share with you what our question of the day is. And here it is now. Write this down so you can answer us. What do you do to make up with your spouse after an argument? Ask the question again. What do you do to make up with your spouse after an argument? Tell me what you do. Don't tell me what your spouse do. Tell me what you do. And send it to us via WhatsApp, text, and voice notes. Make sure the voice notes are no longer than 30 seconds. And here are the numbers. 997-3125 or our studio line 968-8327 or 968-8328. And you have the 876 before them. You can watch us and comment on Love 101 Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. We're going to be right back with our special guest, Reverend Christopher Brodber. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right here.
Episode of the Mailbox, we'll be going on an investigative journey as we focus on the topic Enrollment Part 2. Educating the next generation of men will help to fight back against ignorance. However, there are fewer males than females enrolled and achieving in our educational institutions. What are the factors contributing to the low enrollment and achievement numbers of our males in schools? We will explore the possible reasons for some men seemingly not signing up for that kind of learning. You are invited to join us as we look into the issues with Dr. Howard Harvey, Career Development Officer at Heart NSTA Leap Center on Wednesday, March 13 at 5:30 p.m. The Family Station, Love 101, the Mailbox, Monday.
The biblical crossing of the Red Sea was best known as God's way of leading the Israelites into a new beginning. But let's dive deeper as this miracle story, from shore to shore, is drenched with wonders and revelations. Tuesday, March 12, on The Rock, join guests Pastor Silburn Carr and Silton Townsend as they discuss the topic Parting and Crossing the Red Sea. That's The Rock, Tuesday, March 12 at 10 a.m. here on the family station Love 101.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101, and welcome to our special guest this evening, Reverend Christopher Broadbent. He is a counselor and an advocate for individual, familial, and community development. He's also the man beside and behind the Counselor's Couch. And if you need to find him, go to counselorscouch.com. Sir, how are you?
Hey, Roland, I'm good. Thanks for having me back on Love 101. It's always good to be with you guys.
It's great to have you on, sir. It's great to have you with us. And our topic tonight is unvexed, making up with your spouse. I'm talking to our guests now, and I hope they haven't forgotten the question. Question is, what do you do to make up with your spouse after an argument? And we want all of our listeners and viewers to WhatsApp their voice notes or to text their responses to 997-3125 or to 968-8327 or 968-8328, and they can participate with us that way. Sir, that is the question we're posing to the listeners. I'm going to ask you to answer that first off. That is for you to answer.
Disclaimer, Jamaica, disclaimer. I don't know any man that has all the solutions and all the answers. And I'm happy to say I am not that man. I am not that one with the silver bullet to answer all the questions regarding a vexed spouse. But what I do have is just some prudent strategies that might be helpful. Of course, you talk to different folk, they'll give you their different strategies. But all I can offer is my strategies, the things that I think work and are prudent, and the things that the Bible does clue us in on in terms of dealing with a difficult situation. And Roland, let me just throw in right here, right now. I highly recommend to everybody listening to watch Mark Gunger's video. If this title,
can you spell his last name for me, please?
Sure, I will. It's his first name is Mark, M-A-R-K, and his last name is Gunger, G-U-N-G-O-R. G-U-N-G-O-R.
G-U-N-G-O-R. Okay.
You're right. So his video on A Tale of Two Brains on YouTube. A Tale of Two Brains.
I think I've seen this. Yes, I think I've seen this.
If this topic is of interest to you as a listener, you may want to watch Mark's, and he's a pastor, even though he's a comedian, he's a pastor. He's very dramatic, but he does communicate some really good information that's useful for marriages. So I just want to share that and throw in that 1 Corinthians 7:28 does advise us that once you're getting married, there will be some sparks. It's two human beings, dreams, different plans, different feelings and stuff, subject to times. You're going to have challenge. But yes, you can do something about it when you have challenges. The hope is that both parties are interested in doing something about it when unvexed.
Absolutely, sir. So I am throwing the question at you directly. The question we gave to the listeners, I'm throwing it at you to start off, and it is this. What do you do when you are trying to unvex your spouse?
Well, it depends on what has vexed my spouse. If it is that I did something wrong, then surely I must humble myself and apologize. If it is that I was supposed to do something, if I forget the anniversary, then by all means hurry up and make good. If I forget the birthday, hurry up and make good. It depends on what the situation is, and so again, there's no general one answer for it. It really depends on what the situation is. But the overall thinking is to be mature enough to do what is required. Whether to humble yourself and say sorry, or to humble yourself and hurry up, go buy the KFC and say, see something here, honey, something for you, or some flowers or whatever. Do something, to make up, to try your best to make peace in a humble manner, especially if you are in the wrong.
I like that you said, especially if you're in the wrong. And what going to ask is whether or not you can make the first move in unvexing the situation if it is that you are not in the wrong.
Surely. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You see, the ultimate aim is, peace in the house, And again, this is why, there's no one answer, because whoever your spouse is different from another person's spouse. And, one thing may work for my spouse that won't work for your spouse. And you understand how it goes. You have to figure out your again, that classic book, Five Love Languages, it wasn't really regarded for a while, and now it has taken off like a rocket, because it really makes sense. You have to figure out what's going on with your spouse. And you may not be in the wrong, but with their perception, can be the thing. And you have to know that, okay, I still want peace in my house. I still want harmony in my life. Therefore, I will humble myself and say, what's going on? If I offended you, I'm sorry. Let me know. And you can only hope that the person is willing to say exactly what's going on. Because, yeah, sometimes we can do things and we don't know that we've offended, our spouse. You don't know. But if you perceive that something's going on, then certainly don't just say, well, make sure stand there then, man. Make sure stay there, me never do nothing. See there? Watch her again. It don't make sense. Ultimately, you want peace. And I don't subscribe, let me say blatantly, I do not subscribe to happy wife, happy life. I don't subscribe to that. I subscribe to happy spouse, happy house. So both parties must be willing to humble themselves and to check on each other and make sure, have I offended you? What's going on with you? Are you okay? What can I do to make it better? That's an imperative. If there's only, when we used to sell that line of happy wife, happy life, a lot of men had nervous breakdowns and stroke and all that. It's almost, it's not a healthy perspective, and we put a lot of burden on men trying to figure it out, dude. No, some of them really can't figure it out because the challenge was not with them.
Absolutely. I hear you and I get you on that. We're going to go to a break shortly, but I want to ask you, what are some reasons that would cause vexation, or some things that would lead to vexation? Just some top of the mind things.
Well, typically, the typical three huge, what I would say, because, we're Christians, we're people of faith, and those listening might know, I'm not being super spiritual. I'm just using this analogy to make it easy to understand. The three demons that tend to cause divorce, I would dare say, would be challenges with sex, challenges with money, challenges with communication. These are the three areas that the enemy goes after marriages with, and that statistic shows that, right?
Is that in the order? Is that in the order
No.
of? Okay, no.
No. If we're talking about order, generally, communication would be the main thing, because right communication can solve a lot of problems. It can solve the money problem. It can solve the sex problems. Yeah. So if we're talking about order priority, for where you have to guard, watch your back, communication. So you want to work out what is prudent communication, and smart. I don't want to, go on too much and sound like I'm, taking over your time. But it's smart for men to understand, as the scriptures say, dwell with your wife according to knowledge. Figure out that women need you to be able to talk, to sit down and be able to chat, and you have to separate the two types of talking that men need to be aware of to give to their wives. Two types of chit chat, and communication that you must be willing to bring to the table. That casual chat that they require, and also consultation, because wives want to come and say, what do you think, honey? And then you do what's necessary to get the information to give good, accurate counsel, because wives often want to be able to come to their husband and say, what do you think? Give me
Awesome.
your advice.
Awesome. That sounds great. And I'm going to ask our listeners and viewers again to remember the question that we have. What do you do to make up with your spouse after an argument? We're looking forward to what you have to say. So contact us at 997-3125 or 968-8327 or 968-8328. We're going to be right back.
When you say phosphorus, you say electrical. SWA cables, conduits, transformers, and breakers. When you say phosphorus, you say lighting, chandeliers, and more. When you say phosphorus, you say LEDs and solar water heaters. Phosphorus is electrical, lighting, solar, and LEDs. Visit us today, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Phosphorus.
Are you being afflicted by unexplained illnesses, depression, or wounded from past traumas? Come experience your breakthrough at Healing War Room, a healing and prayer conference by Healing Rooms Jamaica, Saturday, March 16 from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the St. Andrew High School AV Center, featuring speakers Dr. Arlene Rose Lewis, Pastor Bruce Clementson, Pastor Mark Wedderburn, and Bishop Alesta Delon. Registration at $2,000 or $20 US. Lunch included. Join in person or online. Register now at healingroomsja.com.
Son, look here. Close your eyes and touch anywhere on the map of Jamaica.
Okay.
With unlimited flow data for navigation apps, we can go anywhere we want to and have more data to do anything we need to.
You've arrived at your destination.
Now, Flow's unlimited social and talk prepaid plans come with unlimited data for Waze and Google Maps, plus more TikTok data and any use data. Get a 7-day Flow prepaid plan for only $950. Get your plan today. Download the Top Up Flow app. Conditions apply.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. Right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
Welcome back to our discussion on Unvexed, making up with your spouse. And we are talking today with Reverend Broadber, and it is so good to have him on. Going to ask him to tune in again. We were talking just before the break, sir, about the fact that there are different kinds of communication that men need to understand with their wife. The first one, I think you said it was a kind of chit chat, and then the other one was consultative.
Yes.
All right.
Because the truth is that, as is well established now, men and women deal with stress differently. When a woman feels stressed, she does want to talk. That's how she gets some release from the stress. Most women, not all women, but typically women want to discuss what's happening. It's a vent for them. So that's important for wives. But on the other hand, for men, when we are stressed, we go silent. We go quiet. You know, we go on the PlayStation, or we go play football, or we go watch a movie. When we're stressed, we don't want to talk. And so there's a problem with communication if both persons are stressed, if there's financial hard times or whatever is going on, and both persons are stressed. He doesn't want to talk, but she wants to talk. She wants to talk to release her stress. He doesn't want to talk to release his stress. So where do the twain meet, right? So this is why men have to be willing to figure out that, okay, let me go and be available to talk, to allow her to talk. And then you have to work out the system of when can I say, all right, can we break for a little bit, and then we can get back to it, because as men, you still have to survive during the period of stress too. So it would be overload for a man if he's not able to cope with his stress. He doesn't have time to go to the man cave. He doesn't have time to go, go out with the guys to just ball on him bridge and shoulder. Not that him going, talk a lot. And some guys do actually, but for the rule of thumb, men tend to want a distraction when they are stressed. They want to go into a space so that they don't have to deal with the issue. But women want to deal with the thing. They want to talk about it now. If something's going on, they want to talk about it now. But it's not always possible for all men to talk about it now, but they do need to make themselves available to, at some point, talk about it with their wives. So that's the issue of the communication. And where that breaks down, that can leave a party vexed. If the wife is not able to talk to her husband, she'll get vexed. She's stressed and she want to talk, and you're not available, you're not giving her active listening time, she's going to get vexed. So that's going to be a problem. If she's always talking at him and he doesn't have a chance to go to his man cave and just cool out, he's going to get vexed if he's under pressure. He needs time. So this is an area in communication that both can be vexed, and solving that is just about being cognizant of what the other party needs and being smart about setting up the context to get what you need, and even while you're helping your partner get what they need. So
I'm thinking, listening to you, Rev, that there has to be some amount of trust. I shouldn't say some, there has to be a lot of trust between the parties, because if the man at this particular point in time cannot deal with the chatting, and does need to have a moment of introspection or whatever it is, he should be able to trust his wife enough to say, I really can't listen to the talking now. If I listen to the talking now, I'm not going to hear anything you're saying. And vice versa, the wife needs to be able to trust her husband enough to say, I do need to talk now. Can you give me some time? So I'm thinking trust is critical in this whole endeavor.
Well, I don't know that it's just trust. It's kind of maturity, where you have to be. This is why marriage really is big people business, because it takes mature people to say with the real solution. You have to come out of your feelings at some point and say, what is strategic? Because marriage doesn't work by heart only. Marriage works by head. And that's what we fail to realize. Heart, they say, the truth is, love is not enough. Love has to come with strategy, or else love breaks down. Love is not enough. That is why, as abundant and abounding as God's love is, it's married with his wisdom, as with his grace. There's nothing as powerful as God's right arm, other than God's mind. So why am I saying that? Because we have to marry well, let me use another word instead of marry. We have to pull together or combine the knowledge that for a relationship to work, it takes both ample supply of head and heart, strategy and passion, and you can't get away from that. So the fact is, yes, you're angry right now, but use strategy. You have to use something that works. He's a man, he's not a woman. So he needs some time. You can't just attack him with the word. And she's a woman, she's not a man. She's not just going to sit down and play Call of Duty when she's stressed. You have to figure it out. Figure it out. That's why the Bible
I get you, Rev. And I'm glad you brought up the idea of strategy, because there are some points here that I would just toss out at you, and you address them as you see. The first one is a scheduling plan. Then we have use tender names. Then we say pay attention to nonverbal communication. We say avoid screaming. So I'm not to shout at her. And it says keep checking in.
Yeah.
Can you just
Okay.
run over those? Yeah, however you want to run over them.
So some of these were expounded on in my column, The Counselor's Coach, in the paper. So the scheduling plan is about being mature enough to understand as a couple that when one party says, I don't want to deal with this now, you back off and let them be. Back off and let them be. However, the couple must agree that no point that's raised for discussion goes undiscussed for over a week. So there must be a timeline. So if it is, I don't want to deal with this now, okay, probably tomorrow, okay? Or can we do this on Wednesday? Today is Monday. Can we do this on Thursday? So there's a scheduling, and you don't let it go past 7 days. That's just a strategy, so that you try not to make it go too long. But if it can't be dealt with now because the person is under pressure, they're breaking, something happened at work, so it's a compounded situation, she can't deal with it now, don't try to fight it and force her. Don't try to fight it and force him. You're going to make it worse. That's what we call the scheduling plan. Schedule the discussion and be mature enough to schedule it. If he says not right now, just chill. If she says not right now, chill, bro. It will be better when she gets ready, she's able to deal with it. That's just now the issue of tender names or endearing names is very important. And what is this issue? This is the idea of not just calling your spouse by their first name. You don't call your spouse as everybody calls them. And this is strategic, because when you say, Snuggoops, honey bun, sugar plum, sweetie pie to your spouse, it helps them remember who you are and what you are to them and they are to you. It reminds them that this is a romantic, tender relationship we have. So even when in a vex and you say Snuggoops, bubblicious, whatever you're going to say something, have some nice name for each other, so that when you use that name, I'm a little dumpling, or I'm a stew peas, I'm a spinners in my stew peas. Whenever you call her that, it brings down the temperature. Or whenever she call her, hey babe, I just want to talk to you about this. I'm really hurting right now. It helps, because it reminds him that though it's a difficult situation, you love him. And even as hard as the situation is, still maintain the tender names. The nonverbal communication issue, that's just to pay attention. If the person vex, you're going to see it on their body language, because the body language sometimes speaks louder than your mouth. If the arms are folded and you're getting to steer something up. If the eyes are rolling like marbles, they're rolling, something is up. If you see the person biting them lip and them giving you a side eye, something's up. Don't ignore these little things, right? The hands on the jaw, the covering of the eyes, and get involved. If you see the person really having a hard time and you see the body language, get involved. Don't just say, him can't go on, him business, cut eye can't kill me, No, cool it, you're married. That person is your partner. And the failing of the relationship actually will impact you. You can't say, no fish out there. No fish in the ocean, I can get another one. Guess what? You are causing yourself harm. So if the body language is telling you something, read the signs and go to them, humble yourself and say, what's wrong? Did I do something wrong? And you know what? A good life has ups and downs. If your life never had any ups and downs, it would be boring and monotonous. Just like good food has good seasoning, right? It has salt and it has pepper.
Yes, indeed. That is so true, Reverend Bradber. I'm going to ask you to hold the other points until after the break. And I want to remind our listeners that this is Family Time, live on Love 101 FM, YouTube, and on Facebook. It's produced by Family Life Ministries. For our social media interaction, we want you to share on the question, what do you do to make up with your spouse after an argument? Let us know via WhatsApp, text, and voice notes. All right, you can send those to 997-3125. And you can contact us on the Love 101 Facebook page and on the Love 101 YouTube channel. Or You can call the studio lines at 968-8327 or 968-8328 and participate that way. We want to hear from you. Our topic this evening is Unvexed, making up with your spouse. It's break time, but just before, let's get a word from Reverend Mike in this episode of Word to Flesh, Moments with Reverend Mike. Don't go away.
The Bible sets clear divine expectations for all human relational behavior. Ephesians 4:1 says, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Colossians 3 declares, but now you must also rid yourselves of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. Ephesians 5 admonishes us, each one of you must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. Clear standards. This is how we should live and relate every day. However, sometimes we miss the mark. Should you fail the above God-demanded standards, here is a simple ABC to help you get the love flowing again. A. Acknowledge, apologize, adjust. Acknowledge their hurt, apologize for causing the pain, and adjust the behavior or actions that caused the pain. Be willing to speak honestly. Be willing to forgive. Be willing to trust again. C. Choose love, because love covers a multitude of sins. It overlooks unkindness and unselfishly seeks the best for others. 1 Peter 4:8. I'm Reverend Mike from Fellowship Tabernacle, and we just had a WTF moment.
Dreaming of a great career or degree? The Caribbean Examinations Council offers regionally and internationally recognized qualifications to help you get there. These include the Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, CCSLC, the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC, the Caribbean Vocational Qualification, CVQ, Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE, and the CXC Associate Degree. These exams may be done while in school or out of school at private learning institutions. Visit cxc.org to learn more. With CXC, you're in control.
Run to me cheese, run to me cheese. Give me yummy, run to me cheese, run to me cheese. Give me yummy, don't stop at just a one slice, please. No other bun, perfect for me. Yummy, for real Jamaican flavor and quality for sure this Easter. Make yummy the bun to your cheese. Yummy, give me yummy, yummy, give me yummy. For the Easter, yummy bun zeta, yummy for me family, yummy for me sir. Bun to me cheese, yummy. Bun to me cheese, best bun, give me yummy.
The biblical crossing of the Red Sea was best known as God's way of leading the Israelites into a new beginning. But let's dive deeper as this miracle story from shore to shore is drenched with wonders and revelations. Tuesday, March 12, on The Rock, join guests Pastor Silburn Carr and Silton Townsend as they discuss the topic, parting and crossing the Red Sea. That's The Rock, Tuesday, March 12 at 10 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back. It is now 4 minutes past 6 in the evening, according to my watch. And you are tuned to Love 101 FM. This is Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries. And Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Our discussion this evening is Unvexed, making up with your spouse. And my special guest is Reverend Christopher Broadbell. He has been going over a number of things with us, and I'm really glad that he's here because he is setting me straight on some things as well. Before the break, we were talking about strategies for better communication, and he mentioned a scheduling plan. He spoke about us using tender names, and he said that we are to be noticing and paying attention to nonverbal communication. And one of the things I wanted to ask him is he said that when we were talking about the scheduling plan, we were to ensure that it doesn't go beyond a week. And I remember reading in the Bible where it says you mustn't let the sun go down on your anger. So how come he giving us all of a week? And I would ask him to just share something on that with me.
Well, yeah. So what the prescription, the word is saying is if there is wrath, don't let the sun go down in your wrath. You want to mash up the place and you want to run away, and then certainly that's an emergency. But if it's not that, if it's just a disagreement and something that your spouse needs clarity on, and you're really feeling stressed and you can't deal with that, no, then you can schedule when we're going to deal with it. But again, if you are, if you are really, in a place of serious anger, then yes, that's an emergency. That's an emergency that needs to be solved ASAP.
Right away. I get you. We do have a comment, a WhatsApp comment. I'm going to read it now. It says, peace has to be in the home, so we have to do the right thing. We have to work things out and set an example for our children. They have to grow with integrity, so we must live in peace. What do you think about that, Reverend Broadbent?
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. The Bible does say, as much as it's up to you, live at peace with all men, and that includes, in your home, you try to find the strategy that makes for peace, and not only just peace when it comes to a marriage, but for love, because if you're married, you are privileged. If you are married, you are privileged. The Bible says, whosoever finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor. You're privileged. Right. So protect that privilege.
Sir. Another couple comments before we go back to our strategies. And here is a comment that I got. It says, in response to the question, what do you do to make up with your spouse after an argument? And the person says, it's a female, says, other than not kill them, I only say sorry. So apparently, other than not kill them is to say sorry. And here's another one from a male. He says, a sincere apology is fine with me. No make-up business. Say sorry and mean it. Any comments on those two, sir?
Yeah, no. Okay, so let's get serious here, gentle folks. You see this thing of even when we make fun of this thing in Jamaica, what we've had a problem with couples not figuring out how to deal with each other, and it has caused serious hurt to parties. We've had murder-suicides happening in romantic relationships. We want to stamp that thing out. So let's not even play around with the idea of when using that word. No, let me say as clear as day, walk away before you do any harm to anybody. Yeah? I fully subscribe to walking away before you dare raise a hand or fling out something or do anything that threatens the other person's physical well-being, even their mental well-being, but especially their physical well-being because of what's been happening in Jamaica. Yes, the other person says just apologize. Yes, but of course we can expound on that, but you must always be willing to humble yourself. If you're in the wrong, certainly apologize. And if you did something you didn't even know offended your spouse, certainly apologize and seek clarity.
Absolutely. There is one more I'm going to read for you now, and it's this one. I thought this one was really interesting. This is a woman who says, I think I need to ask my husband what I do, because sometimes when me think fi do, or when me think me did do, but me never do it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, this is why communication is so important, because you might think he's all right, but he might be steaming because no intimacy or little intimacy. I said, but you was all right 5 months ago. Why is it a problem now? You don't realize, and this is why you have to be able to talk. And again, sorry, Roland, if I'm taking a lot of time, but premarital counseling is an imperative. Premarital counseling. You know, the challenge that we have in Jamaica, there's two huge challenges. We don't invest in consultants, you know, like other first world countries. They put a premium on on hiring consultants. You know, they'll bring in a consultant and they pay them big bucks to solve a complex matter. In Jamaica, we're afraid of consultants for some reason. We don't value information, the gaining of good, prudent, strategic information. We don't put a value on it. We don't put a premium on it. And similarly, counseling. You know, you don't realize that it's prudent to get a counselor to sit with, you know, before you get the ring on the finger and say, I do. Go through those things, because what you may think is easy information is not easy information. He don't get it. He doesn't get it. And you think he understands. He doesn't understand. He don't know how to do this thing. You think it come natural? Guess what? Good sex doesn't come naturally. It has to be learned. And you can talk about those things and figure it out, right? And similarly, for the woman, you know, you need to learn. That's why the Bible says, let the older woman teach the younger woman how to love their husbands. What? I need somebody to teach me how to love them? Yeah, because there are things to learn. And this is where we can mitigate against some of these vexing situations where, you know, we don't understand each other, just by investing the time, the energy, and sometimes the resources. You know, my program is, for my premarital program, we're not doing less than 8 hours. And yes, you're going to pay for it, because you want to spend $10 million on the wedding, but you don't want to spend 100,000 on 8 hours of thorough material, getting free material, getting a lot of information. That don't make sense to me. And then you spend 10 million on the wedding,
and you break up in another week.
Break up in a week. It don't make sense. It's better you cut the budget. I tell my couples, cut the budget of the big dream wedding. Spend more on the honeymoon than you're spending. Now, this is radical. I say spend more on the honeymoon than you spend on the wedding. Because what you do on the honeymoon have more power to seal the deal. Yeah, what you're doing on the wedding is the legal stuff, the official stuff, where everybody can say, yay, drink some wine.
And everybody else stuff.
Exactly. But then the honeymoon is where you're now bringing the meat to the matter.
Absolutely. There's a phrase we have here in Jamaica, Rev, nod and smile. I hope, or I suspect you're familiar with that phrase, nod and smile, nod and smile. So you go like this when somebody's talking and you smile nicely, and they think that you're hearing and they think you understand because you're not at the right time. Is there value to that in marriage?
You might get away with it for the first couple of days of marriage, where she thinks you're understanding, but it's going to become evident that you have no clue what she's just said, and it's not going to work. And vice versa, if it's, you know, it won't work. It doesn't work for a prolonged period, because people are not silly. They're going to read that this is not active listening. You are actually it will become offensive. It will be disrespectful to use that strategy. You know, we say yes, dear. Another thing is yes, dear. What time are you coming home? Will you come home early enough for dinner? Yes, dear. And you know you're not coming home early enough for dinner. Yes, dear. It will become, you know, even saying I love you, sweetheart, I love you, honey, I love you, can become offensive, because they'll read through it. That you know, oh, you say you love me, but I see you, you know, hugging up
something else.
Yeah. So people are not silly. They're going to read through it. You have to be genuine. And as I tell my couples too, that transparency facilitates true intimacy. There's no intimacy if there's no transparency. And for real romance to happen, you need intimacy. Yeah, a marriage can't work without intimacy, and therefore a marriage can't work without transparency.
Yeah, excellent, Rev. We want to go back to the strategies for better communication, and we were at the one about avoid screaming. That one sound almost straight away. Oh, we are up on a break. We are up on a break, so I'm going to ask you if we can do that when we come back. And at this point, reminding our listeners that our question is, what do you do to make up with your spouse after an argument? All right, it's about 6:14. We'll be right back.
Every Thursday morning, Love 101 shares with you power-packed messages, words of encouragement, and testimonies of God's miraculous power. You get all of that in the Don't Give Up broadcast, brought to you by Celebration Church at the Portmore Skating Rink in the Portmore Mall with Pastor Prophet Michael Carter. Be sure to stay tuned to Love 101 for the Don't Give Up broadcast. Get the word you need to start your day right. The Don't Give Up broadcast, Thursdays at 5:15 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Why suffer from heartburn, gas, upset stomach, or indigestion? Get fast, effective, long-lasting relief from Benjamin's Antacid. Benjamin's Antacid works faster than a hot cup of tea. Benjamin's, the trusted name for over a century.
On the next episode of the Mailbox, we'll be going on an investigative journey as we focus on the topic Enrollment Part 2. Educating the next generation of men will help to fight back against ignorance. However, there are fewer males than females enrolled and achieving in our educational institutions. What are the factors contributing to the low enrollment and achievement numbers of our males in schools? We will explore the possible reasons for some men seemingly not signing up for that kind of learning. You are invited to join us as we look into the issues with Dr. Howard Harvey, Career Development Officer at Heart NSTA Leap Center on Wednesday, March 13 at 5:30 p.m. The family station, Love 101. The Mailbox, Monday
Welcome back to Love 101 FM. This is Family Time, and it's brought to you by Family Life Ministries. And Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. And today our topic is Unvexed, making up with your spouse. Our guest is Reverend Christopher Broadbaugh. He is a counselor and advocate for individual, familial, and community development. I'm so glad he is on, but we don't have enough time. There's so much more we wanted to talk about, but I want him to finish up sharing with us on the strategies for better communication, avoid screaming, and keep checking in. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so yeah, again, disclaimer, folks, you're listening to me, disclaimer, I don't have all the answers. All I'm offering is some prudent strategies that may help. It may help. Don't have all the answers. There's no silver bullet to fix this thing. You have to know your own situation and you do your best. Pray for divine intervention and use some smart strategies. All right, so the screaming, disrespectful. If you're hollering at nobody's hearing you. Communication doesn't work like that. The idea must be that when you're talking to someone, trying to get a point across, you're doing it in a strategic way that they can receive. Don't talk at anyone. That doesn't work. Talk to. That means read them up, figure them out. What do I need to say to make this point penetrate? Right? So if it is honey bunch, sweetheart, remember, turn off the stove before you leave. Then if you come at them and I'm gonna tell you if you turn off the stove, guess what? You're gonna get pushback. So if the issue is you're trying to solve a problem, use your brain and use a strategy that can get the point penetrating to the person, that they can understand it. All right? It doesn't help to just talk at them. So no screaming. The idea of 51st dates. There was a film, I think it was an Adam Sandler film where, so this is one of my personal coined phrases or points and strategies. So again, I don't have all the answers, but this is one that I can tell you is smart. What it's about, it's based on that movie where the lady had a challenge with her short-term memory, and he was always trying to win her over. So he fell in love with her. He met with her, fell in love with her, and he was the next day. And
Sorry, Rev, you're muted. If you can unmute for me, please. We were talking about the 51st Dates movie with Adam Sandler and the lady who had bad short-term memory. So she had long-term memory, but not short-term memory. And he had to keep going over stuff, and he had to keep reminding her who he was, if I remember the movie correctly. Are you back with us, Rev? The 51st Dates mindset. And I suspect that means that we are talking about going over and repeating good memories, repeating activities that we do if and when it is necessary, for as long as it is necessary. We keep at the good activities, the positive activities. And we're waiting for Rev to rejoin us. And there are a couple other communication strategies that I think he will mention as well. He's going to talk about the fact that we need to remember that we are sowing and reaping in marriage. Sowing and reaping in marriage is going to be very important. The idea that what you reap is dependent on what you sow. And he may also come back and talk to us about listening very carefully. There are times when we are talking, and while we are talking, we have no interest in listening. But it is interesting that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And so some people will tell you that means you have to listen twice as much as you speak. And then the other point that I'm hoping he'll come back and talk about is responding rather than reacting. Reacting is typically understood to be a kind of knee-jerk response, not response, a knee-jerk reaction to things that happen. So it is without thought. It is just, oh, lash out. If you put your hand to fire unintentionally, the first thing you're going to do is lift your hand and flash your hand. But if you intentionally intended to pick up something that was hot, you would hold it and move the thing gently and put it down before flashing away your hand. And he may also refer to boundaries, establishing boundaries. And some of us don't like boundaries, but boundaries are often very necessary. And oh, great. Are you back, Rev?
I am. Can you hear
I
me?
was just talking.
No, I don't know. These devices have a mind of their own at times.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's go back. Yeah, let's
Right.
go
So
back.
the movie 51st Dates, she has a short-term memory challenge, and he has to win her heart every day afresh. So the concept is try to forget the offenses of yesterday. Try to forget, you could string out a whole number of things that they did wrong. Forget that, clean slate it. Do like your father God does. Because when you ask him to forgive you your sins, he's clean slating you. Clean slate, just as if you never sinned. That's the definition for justification. If we learn that from our Father, then we can practice it in this precious place called marriage, just as if I never sinned. And so you get vexed, when you vex with each other, but there's some apology, forgive, clean slate. So that's the 50 day. The idea of sowing and reaping is that what you're being purposeful, right? This is another strategy to unvex, right? You're being purposeful that I'm going to do what it takes, what I would want to see from him, what I would want to see from her, I'm going to do for her, for him. What I would like to receive from them is what I will do to them. That's the idea of sowing and reaping, to help with the unvexing of the, to pulling down the heat, toning it down a bit. All right. So I would love for him to say sorry. I will say sorry. I'd love for her to say sorry. I will say sorry. Do for them what you'd like to get from them. Next thing we have is the listening carefully aspect, the active listening. You want to make sure that you're giving them real time to hear their concern. They're a real person. Your spouse is a real person with real feelings. And, feelings can cause all kinds of breakdowns, right? So you want to value what they have to say, value how they're feeling, value their opinion. So listen carefully, listen actively, and show love and respect in your listening and in your responding. Proverbs 15:28 it tells us about studying the heart of the righteous studies to answer. Proverbs 15:28. The heart of the righteous studies to answer. So the idea of responding correctly. Think about things, so that you can respond to your spouse correctly. That qualifies you, as being the righteous. You're in right standing with God because you're thinking about how I respond. I'm not reacting. Because part of the strategy again with the unvexing is making sure you're not reacting to everything that happens. So the food burn up, you're not reacting. You're being mature with the issue and say, okay, dear, you overcooked the chicken again. This is the 10th time, but it's okay. Let's figure things out. Probably I should start cooking the chicken. You can try the fish, and you think about things and be purposeful with how you will answer. Because guess what? If it's just you're all up in your pride, you're all up in your ego, and you're only going to create more damage. So the heart of the righteous studies to answer. So think through your response. Okay, and finally, the issue of establishing boundaries. Yes, again, this is the.
Sorry, sir. I just heard a comment from somebody based on what you said. She said, if you overcook the chicken, imagine how she overcooked the fish.
Well, burnt offering is a thing.
Yes.
Burnt offering is a thing. But if you again, I want to say, guys, you're listening, don't discount counseling. Don't discount premarital sessions and marital sessions. I'm over 40, and so I am told I must check my prostate and so on. The things that we need to do, check our cholesterol level. Once you're over 40, there's these things you really should be doing. And it's just smart. For women, they have to check, do the mammogram and all of those things, especially when over a certain age. It's just smart. Okay, it's not by faith I won't check my prostate. By faith I won't check my breast. No, by faith, if there's an issue, you will pray and we'll deal with that, and you trust God for healing, and along with the medical intervention. But similarly, it is smart to get counseling help, where you could be fine, the marriage is fine, but still, you go for a checkup, go in and say we just want to sit and chat. Because it creates a safe space. What I like to say is I become an accountability partner for couples. I become an accountability partner to walk with you, to work with you, just generally. As a pastor, I've had to, whether it is birth, life, death, we've been there. We've had to christen, dedicate the babies, and we've had to bury the family members and console the living. We've had to celebrate the graduations and walk you through your marriages and so on. That's what we're here for. And similarly, you have a relationship going on, feel free to just get a checkup.
Feel free to get a checkup. Thank you so much for that, Rev. We are almost out of time, and it has been my pleasure to speak with you, sir. If you could give us one sentence about this unvexing, what would that one sentence be to wrap up?
Love each other and show each other respect, because what you have is beautiful and what you have is precious, and you're privileged to have it. There are a lot of people that would want what you have, so treasure what you have, make the most of it and celebrate it. It's God's gift to you.
Amen. Thank you so much for being with us, sir. Appreciate you. And I want to thank our listeners for being here with us. If you have questions of a personal nature or are concerned about a friend or a family member, call us at Family Life Ministries. Our head office number is 920-1034 or 926-8101. Note that for appointments and information on costs, you have to call the office. Otherwise, to keep up to date with what's happening with FLM and our programs, check us out on Facebook, check us out on our YouTube channel, and you can also connect with us on Instagram. Before we leave you, here is this evening's Bible verse, and it comes to us from Malachi chapter 2, verse 16. It says, I hate divorce, says the Lord God of Israel. So guard yourself in your spirit and do not break faith. Join us again next week for another informative program. Thanks for being with us. Thanks again to our special guest, Reverend Christopher Broadbent. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale, show facilitator, Timoy Butler, and of course, all of you who joined us. I'm Roland. Blessings to you all.